Picture this: a small room, cold and sterile. The air smells faintly of chemicals, metallic and sharp. Instruments gleam under a single swinging light bulb. You are a visitor, unseen, silent. And in the corner, a human figure waits, pale, trembling, unsure if what's about to happen is life or something far worse. This is not fiction. These walls, these tables, these tools once belonged to doctors who called themselves pioneers. But behind their promises of progress lay obsessions darker than any horror story. Tonight we explore the medical experiments that make history's bravest scientists shiver. The experiments that blurred the line between genius and monstrosity, and the humans whose lives were sacrificed for knowledge. Welcome to the creepiest medical experiments in history. In the 1700s, doctors experimented on the most basic human functions: pain, exposure, and endurance. One famous physician in London injected patients with cold water and then heated them to extremes, all to map the body's tolerance curve. His notes are clinical, meticulous, yet chilling. Patient exhibited remarkable fortitude despite screams and contortions. Pain was not medicine. Pain was data. These early trials didn't kill many, but they revealed a horrifying truth. Scientific curiosity often outranks empathy. Imagine walking through a foggy graveyard at midnight. Your task: procure a corpse for anatomical study. In 18th century Europe, demand for cadavers outstripped supply. So body snatchers, ghoulish figures in dark cloaks, would dig up graves to sell to surgeons. Students in anatomy theaters would slice, probe, and dissect. Their lectures were precise, their methods revolutionary, but the reality? They were performing the earliest experiments on unwilling subjects whose identities were lost to history. Fast forward to World War I. Soldiers stranded in icy waters faced a new horror. Doctors in Germany and Scandinavia conducted experiments to see how long the human body could survive freezing temperatures. Men were stripped, submerged in ice water, and observed. Heart rates, core temperatures, and mental reactions were recorded. Some never returned to warmth. Others survived only to be studied for weeks afterward. The experiments revealed vital information for rescuing soldiers, but at a human cost almost impossible to justify. The most infamous chapter comes from the camps of Nazi Germany. Josef Mengele, the Angel of Death, performed experiments on twins, dwarfs, and prisoners at Auschwitz. He injected chemicals into eyes to change their color, exposed people to extreme cold, and tested poisons. Twins were dissected side by side to note every difference. Every experiment was scientific, but the laboratory was a theater of terror. Survivors recall the randomness of survival. An injected twin might live while their sibling perished. Mengele's obsession wasn't just discovery, it was domination. Playing God over life and death. Across the globe in occupied China, another nightmare unfolded. Unit 731 was a top-secret Japanese medical research facility. Prisoners, often civilians, were subjected to vivisection without anesthesia. Doctors studied frostbite, disease, and the effects of poison. Limbs were amputated, organs removed, and infections introduced, all for scientific knowledge. One doctor recorded, "Observation continues. The subject reacts differently than expected. Remarkable data." The line between patient and test subject had vanished. Humanity was lost under the guise of progress. Not all experiments were physical. In the 20th century, psychologists tested the limits of obedience and fear. The infamous Milgram experiment placed volunteers in rooms with learners who would receive shocks. The shocks were fake, but the tension, the moral pressure, and the fear were very real. Volunteers administered pain simply because authority demanded it. It showed that cruelty is not only about tools and drugs, it is about power, suggestion, and human psychology. The horrors of history forced medicine to confront ethics. Today, every human trial requires informed consent. Institutional review boards protect participants. But the shadow of past experiments still looms. Every rule, every guideline, every law is a reaction to centuries of curiosity, unchecked by morality. The screams, the fear, the vanished lives, they are reminders that knowledge without conscience is not progress, it is horror. What drives a scientist to cross moral lines? Obsession, ambition, desire to control. History shows a pattern. When curiosity meets absolute authority, the human cost can be unimaginable. From Cold Water trials to Auschwitz and Unit 731, the lesson is the same. Science alone does not guarantee virtue. True progress demands ethics, empathy, and the recognition that behind every experiment is a human being. Imagine standing in a room today, knowing the stories of those who suffered, yet seeing the same instruments, the same laboratories. Modern medicine has achieved miracles, vaccines, surgeries, life-saving research. But the ghosts of history whisper in every hallway. Remember what curiosity without conscience can become. The creepiest medical experiments in history are not just tales of the past, they are warnings. A reminder that knowledge is powerful and dangerous, that behind every discovery there is a choice to respect life or to sacrifice it in the name of science, and that sometimes the line between genius and monstrosity is as thin as a scalpel blade.